All right, it's 10 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Bree Picorni, the project manager for Authos, and I just want to thank you all for joining us this morning. Today we've got about a 15-minute presentation for you on Windows 10 and what you can expect from the new operating system. And then at the end, we're going to open it up for Q&A. And so from here, I will turn it over to Steve Heller.
Thanks, Bree. Again, welcome everybody. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Again, we keep these to 15 minutes. We know you're busy, so we want to value your time, and we'll go ahead and jump right in. Goals for today will be reviewing the top 7 features of Windows 10. Windows 10 has a lot to it, so we're basically just going to be scratching the surface today. Be on the lookout as we do these webinars going forward. A lot of these features will be breaking out into their own individual webinars because there's a lot of detail within each one. We'll also discuss the business value of these features and then provide links to additional resources. Again, my name's Steve Heller, Director of Business Development. Kyle Swana, our president, is typically on these webinars. He's unable to join us today, but you'll see his voice or hear his voice on several other webinars going forward. So, first feature we'll talk about is OS familiarity on any device within Windows 10. So essentially, if you think back to Windows 7, or most of you are probably on Windows 7, it's basically made for mouse and keyboard. As they released Windows 8, that was more made for touch devices, much to the challenge of a lot of other users. What Windows 10 does is blends the best of both of those operating systems. So it brings back the Start menu. It also incorporates live tiles, but also gives IT the ability to establish a policy whether you want the live tiles or just want to keep the Start menu. So to show you what that looks like, you can see here a lot of different devices, and you can see on the left-hand side your very familiar Start menu, and then to the right of that, the live tiles. So again, it blends both the Windows 7 as well as the Windows 8 interfaces. Next, we'll talk about Cortana integration. So essentially, Cortana is the Microsoft assistant. And when Microsoft was developing Cortana, they actually interviewed assistants to get a better feel for how they interact with their customers. What they found was most of these assistants all had notebooks that they carried that provided vital details about the customer that they were working with. So Microsoft has incorporated this into the Windows 10 operating system. So basically, it allows Cortana to get to know you, what your interests are, but it also gives you the ability to control what you want the system to know about you. It also provides search functionality, so as you ask or type questions to Cortana, it'll show you options that reside local to the machine, but as well as multiple information or options that exist online. And again, it is voice-enabled, so there's speech recognition, so you can actually just ask Cortana the questions rather than type. So to show you what this looks like, you can see here, this is the notebook feature within this screenshot. So you can see this specifically talks about finance. So these are the stocks that are of interest to this user. At the very bottom, you can see the small print of food. So it talks about, or you can input what food you like. And essentially what this will do is allow Cortana, within your live tiles, she can populate, or Cortana can populate any items that might be of interest to you, both from a personal or even a professional standpoint. And again, this just provides a little bit of more efficiency. If there's things that you're interested in that you want to get to, they might put this right at your fingertips. Next feature we'll talk about is a more secure operating environment. This slide shows basically 4 areas of security challenges. On the Windows 7 side, you can see the actual challenges that they had within the operating system, and then on the Windows 10 side, you can see how they are working to alleviate those challenges, and then the actual basically product names of how that happens. So just to give you some definition on what these product names are. So you've got Windows Hello. Basically, Windows Hello is a biometric authentication. So it utilizes fingerprint reading, facial recognition, as well as even iris scanning to unlock devices. Now, it does require a special camera, so you can't just hold up a picture of somebody. From a facial recognition standpoint, it actually will be able to decipher the real face. So this is an option to get rid of passwords and utilize this biometric authentication. Microsoft Passport then takes that biometric authentication and then opens up the availability of mobile services. So basically, you're using your facial recognition to be your single sign-on password to get into your device as well as access all of your mobile services. BitLocker then allows for encryption of only used drive space for more efficient usage. So rather than encrypting an entire drive, you can just encrypt the space that's being used. Enterprise data protection is marking and encrypting corporate content to distinguish it from ordinary user data. So again, making a more efficient use of encryption. Device Guard allows IT to lock down devices so only trusted software can run. Basically, how this works is signatures are created for trusted applications, so exploits and malicious programs that don't have these signatures are unable to run. Windows Defender is anti-malware software that's included within Windows 10. It's signed drivers that are loaded before third-party drivers or applications to allow detection and blocking of any attempts to tamper with the boot process. The UEFI Secure Boot ensures boot certificates are valid to prevent alternative OS loaders from booting, which could allow access to system resources. And then TPM 2.0 virtualization is a measured boot that measures certain components within the boot and compares that against subsequent boots, again, to verify that the Windows client is secure. So they've basically taken a lot of the challenges that you've had from a security perspective, and then in deploying Windows 10 have basically productized the certain areas of how they are alleviating those security concerns. Next feature we'll talk about is Azure AD integration. Basically what Azure AD integration is, it gives productivity to the end users and provides management to the IT of any potential risks. So from a productivity standpoint, you've got self-service configuration for your end users, allowing them access to any cloud software that they're utilizing as well as their on-premise applications, and then also auto-enrolls them into mobile device management, whichever mobile device management you use within your environment. While this slide is a little busy, basically what you can see is you've got your Windows 10 PCs at work, and then it shows how there's a synchronization between your Active Directory and your Azure Active Directory, which then provides single sign-on access to third-party apps, any Azure applications that you might be utilizing, as well as, of course, the applications that you have on-premise. And then from a mobile device management auto-enroll, so if you bring a device into the organization, it will prompt you as to whether this is a personal or a work. You log in with your personal information if you are just utilizing it for personal purposes, or if you're using it for work purposes, you log in with your work account, and then it'll prompt you to accept the fact that this, by logging in with your work account, you are now going to be subject to mobile device management within the policies of that enterprise. So it shows you exactly what policies will be enforced. If you have any concerns or questions, you can then contact your service desk so you can personalize this to your own enterprise. But basically, that end user, by logging in with their corporate account, are then held by the standards of the mobile device management policies within your organization. Next feature we'll talk about is the ease of OS deployment. So basically, it's provisioning rather than re-imaging. While the traditional wipe and load is still supported, this provisioning is a new feature. So essentially what that means is once you have a PC with Windows 10 installed on it in your environment, you can take the settings from that machine and then via media, USB, tethering, email, you can send those settings across to the machines across your environment, then provisioning that image to those machines rather than having to go to each individual machine and do a complete re-image of it one by one. We talked a little bit about device management. We'll go into a little more detail here within this feature. So what Windows 10 allows you to do is really implement very granular device management, converged administrative controls. So essentially, the same tools you're using to manage your PCs, you'll use to manage the mobile devices. So it's not two separate controls. It's all funneled into one. There's automatic policy resolution, which will then provide a consistent user experience. To show you what that looks like, you've got a lot of different management options from identity grouping and management, and you can see the options that are typically within your environments currently, the Active Directory, domain join, group policy, configuration manager, but then also you can see how you can leverage Azure to provide a wider swath of deployment of this management. So it doesn't matter if you're utilizing Microsoft's mobile device management, whether you're utilizing Intune or the Enterprise Mobility Suite. If you have another mobile device management service that you're utilizing, you can continue to utilize that, and then those policies will just be applied to your organization through that WMI bridge. So again, it takes what you currently have in your environment and then leverages Azure to provide a much broader ability to apply that management. Again, what this provides to your end users is a single experience across all devices. So no matter if they're working on their PC, a Surface, or a Windows phone, it's all consistent across all of those devices. And then if you are to retire a device, if someone's to leave the organization, it's a single action to get rid of any corporate assets that reside on that device. And you can give the power to the users to do this, or you can maintain that within the IT department. Last feature we'll talk about is Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge is the new internet browser that's built for Windows 10. You can access it from the Start menu and taskbar. It's updated about just as frequently as Windows 10. And then it's also manageable through group policy and mobile device management, so you can then manage whether or not they can have access to Edge or what they can have access to within Edge. But what you can do with Microsoft Edge is if you're doing a sales presentation or looking for supporting documentation or information on the web, you can then actually take notes. So you can highlight the information within a certain web page, type in text onto that web page, you can then save that to your OneNote, save it offline, and then have access to it later. So again, it not only if you bring up a web page can you see the information, but you can actually manipulate the information to find it easier when you go back to it. And then it also adds Cortana integration. So if you are, it's voice enabled, so if you need to ask Cortana a question, if you're trying to get to a client site, it just provides a little bit more of an efficient method of finding information than your typical type into Google or type into Bing. So resources for Windows 10. I encourage you to go out to our website, authos.net/resources, and actually the first link that we have is a link to more information with regards to Windows 10. Again, as we talked about earlier, the features that we talked about today, there's quite a bit more, and so I encourage as we do these webinars to keep a lookout, because we do plan to take a lot of these features and break them into their own webinars. There's quite a bit of information. We could probably do hour-long sessions on each one, but there's a lot of information with Windows 10, and we're basically just scratching the surface today. If you do have specific questions, I would encourage you to either email myself or Kyle. We'd be more than happy to provide any additional information or answer any questions you have. And then on August 19th, we will be doing a live demo of Windows 10 at the Microsoft office in Omaha. So if you're in the area or are coming to the area, I encourage you to look out for these invites that I'll be coming out here very soon to actually get a hands-on experience of what it's like to operate within Windows 10 and really get a chance to kick the tires on it. I know it's brand new, and you know, with anything brand new, you don't want to be on the bleeding edge. So I know some folks might be waiting, but it's a great way to at least be knowledgeable about what you can do with it when the time comes to deploy it within your organization. With that, I can open up to questions, although I don't see any, so either I did a good job of explaining or I just confused the heck out of everybody. So if you do have questions, again, I encourage you to either email myself or Kyle, and then please consider attending our live demo on August 19th to see Windows 10 in action. Some other events we have coming up. July 22nd, we'll be doing a Maximizing Your Wireless Lunch and Learn at the Scott Conference Center. So if you are managing or looking for better utilization and security of wireless within your environments, I encourage you to attend that. We'll be doing a webinar on August 9th about security that exists within Exchange Online. So if you are looking at Office 365 or for hosted Exchange and have security requirements or compliance requirements within your environment, we'll be talking specifically about those security features that exist within the Exchange Online workload. Again, we try to keep these to 15 minutes, so I'm 1 minute over, but I do appreciate everybody's time today and for attending, and look forward to seeing you at an upcoming webinar. Thanks again.